All right, listeners, get ready, because today we're going deep, and I mean deep, into Delta-9 THC.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that, the marijuana thing?
Right.
And how's that legal, especially here in Ohio? It's a good question.
Yeah.
And the answer is way more interesting than you might think, trust me. So we're going to break down how and why Delta-9 is suddenly, well, kind of a big deal here in Ohio.
It really is. What's got everyone talking is this loophole, and this all goes back to the 2018 Farm Bill.
Okay.
And you see, this bill, it opened the door for hemp, the variety of cannabis with super low THC in everything that comes from it. That includes our friend Delta-9 THC.
Okay, so hang on a sec. We're talking about Delta-9 THC that comes from hemp, not like the marijuana plant.
Exactly.
For those just tuning in, what's the big deal with hemp?
The big deal is the law. Hemp products, as long as they're under that 0.3% THC, are federally legal, thanks to that 2018 Farm Bill.
And this is huge for you in Ohio because it means you can actually buy and enjoy products with Delta-9 THC totally legally.
Hold on, you're saying I could walk into a store right now here in Ohio and buy a gummy, like a gummy, with Delta-9 THC, the same stuff that's,
Yep.
This is wild, but before I go on a gummy run, let's break this down. What actually happens when we eat Delta-9, like in our bodies?
Okay, so picture this. You take a bite of that Delta-9 gummy.
Okay.
It goes through your system, right?
Right.
Eventually, it runs into your body's endocannabinoid system, which we call it ECS. Think of it like air traffic control for your body.
Okay, so not just some random system, it's like
Yeah.
keeping everything running smoothly.
Exactly. The ECS regulates like everything. Your mood, your sleep, hunger, even pain. It's working behind the scenes constantly to keep your body balanced.
Okay, I'm starting to like this ECS thing, but where does Delta-9 fit into this? What makes it mess with air traffic control, so to speak?
Well, Delta-9, it just loves to bind to these receptors in the ECS, especially the CB1 receptors up in the brain. And this is where it gets interesting because when Delta-9 grabs onto those receptors, it sets off this chain reaction, and that's what gives you that, the high feeling THC is known for.
It's kind of amazing that something so tiny, this Delta-9 thing interacting with our ECS, can change how we feel so much. It shows you how connected our bodies are to, to what we consume. And the thing is, understanding this, especially now here in Ohio where Delta-9 is, like, everywhere, it's important to be responsible,
Absolutely. It's not just about getting high. It's about understanding the how and why, especially since, let's face it, we're all still learning about this.
Totally.
Speaking of learning, what about these other terms I hear, like Delta-8, CBD? Are they all related to Delta-9?
Oh, they're family, for sure. All from the cannabis plant.
Yeah.
But each one's, got their own thing going on.
Right.
It's like Delta-9, that's the adventurous one. Always pushing it.
The one who comes back from a trip with the craziest stories, even if the details are a bit hazy.
Yeah, exactly. Delta-9 gives you that strong, psychoactive experience.
Right, right.
Then you got Delta-8, kind of the chill cousin, down for whatever, but likes to keep it mellow.
So Delta-8's the one suggesting board games instead of, like, bungee jumping.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So where does CBD fit in? Because it seems like everyone's talking about CBD these days.
CBD's like the quiet one.
Okay.
Happy, just, promoting wellness, but without messing with your head. No psychoactive effects, so no high. But it might help with, say, anxiety or pain. Lots of potential there.
Wow, it's wild how they're all from the same plant but do such different things. But you keep mentioning the legal stuff, especially here in Ohio. So hemp-derived Delta-9 is federally legal, but what about Ohio specifically?
You're right to ask. Hemp-derived Delta-9, it's federally legal, but Ohio has its own rules, and they're really important, especially for you living here.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the deal? What do we need to know to make sure we're on the right side of the law here?
It's all about where you get your Delta-9 and what the label says. Remember how we said it needs to be under 0.3% THC to be federally legal?
Yeah, that magic number.
Right, 0.3%. That's key.
The key to the Delta-9 Club.
That applies in Ohio, too. Anything sold here, if it's hemp-derived Delta-9, has to be under that limit.
Makes sense. But how do we know if it actually is? Anyone can just, write that on a label, right?
Exactly. You got to be a smart shopper. Look for products that have been tested by a third party, an independent lab.
Okay.
And the good companies, they're upfront about this.
Okay.
They'll give you what's called a certificate of analysis,
Oh, what?
a COA.
POA.
Yeah, think of it like a nutrition label, but for your Delta-9. It tells you exactly what's in it, including how much THC, and proves it's legal, so you know it's legit, and follows Ohio law.
It's like a fact checker for Delta-9. I like it. So, We've got the feds, we've got Ohio with the 0.3% rule, we've got our COA. Anything else we should know about Delta-9 and the law here in Ohio?
Always good to double check your local laws too, just in case.
Okay.
Because what you can get away with in Cleveland might be different in Columbus. Do your research. And if you're ever unsure about something, talk to a lawyer who knows about cannabis.
Good advice. But let's switch gears for a sec. Let's say I'm in Ohio, found a good source, checked the COA, and I'm ready to try Delta-9. What's the best way to ease into it?
Got to be smart about it, yeah. Like you wouldn't jump into a race car without knowing what you're doing.
Not unless I had a whole support crew standing by.
Mm.
So what's our Delta-9 driver's ed?
Start low and slow. Especially if you're new to Delta-9. It's like, trying a super spicy pepper. You wouldn't need a whole plateful without taking a little taste first, would you?
Not unless I had a fire extinguisher handy. So for Delta-9, what does that actually mean, low and slow?
It's all about figuring out how much you can handle. Like with gummies, start with maybe half of a regular dose.
Okay.
See how you feel, give it some time. It's much easier to take a bit more later than to, undo it if you take too much.
That makes sense. What about different kinds of products, though? Do you have to be more careful with some than others?
Oh, for sure. Tinctures, for example, those hit you faster, so you might want even less to start. It's really all about paying attention to how your body reacts.
So it's like, start slow, be patient, see how it goes. Like adjusting the volume on a new stereo. You don't want to crank it up and blow the speakers right away.
Exactly.
And speaking of being careful, it probably goes without saying, but talk to your doctor first, right? Especially if you've got health conditions or take other medications.
Absolutely. Just like with any new supplement or, wellness thing, talk to your doctor. They can make sure it's safe for you and won't mess with anything else.
Right. Make informed choices. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly.
Well, as we wrap up our Delta-9 a deep dive here, it seems like we've just scratched the surface, haven't we?
Totally. This whole cannabis world is always changing, New research, new laws, even how people think about it.
It's like we've just stepped into this whole new world. Who knows what we'll find? So for our Ohio listeners, anyone really, who wants to explore Delta-9 now that's legal, what's the one thing they should remember?
Be curious, for sure, but be responsible too. Keep learning, ask questions, and take care of yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Stay curious, stay informed, and as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, remember, knowledge is power.